Calling our regular council meeting to order. Our invocation today is going to be led by Pastor Fox, and our Deputy Mayor Santiago will lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Shall we pray? Most holy God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you that we can gather together in freedom and in peace. And we ask that indeed you would bless this evening's meeting. There is much that is going on in our city with tragic deaths and with decisions that need to be made of import to all of the citizens. So we ask your grace upon this council, that each member would have a good heart, a sharp mind, a healthy body. Bless them, Lord, that in their health and in their strength they would bring wisdom to the decisions at hand, that they would have grace to listen and courage to make good decisions. Bless, Lord, this meeting. This we ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alice, roll call.
Mayor Capote.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Santiago.
Here.
Councilwoman Passion.
Here.
Councilman Holton.
Here.
Councilman Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Here.
Announcements?
Under announcements, there are 2 terms expiring on the Utilities Advisory Board. Anyone interested in applying can call 952-3414 or visit us online at palmbayflorida.org.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Santiago. Under agenda revisions, Chad?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to add, under resolutions, number 4, Arbor Day, April 24th, 2015. And also would like to add, under proclamations, number 5, National Day of Prayer, May 7th, 2015.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other revisions?
Oh, pull that now? Or are we doing consent?
Oh, no,
Let's
okay,
consent.
okay. I'm good. Mr. Sweeney,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
any?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Moving to consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to get pulled?
Yes, Mayor, if we can pull on new business, number 1, resolution about the Angels Field, and if we could also move it up in the time frame and do it after all our proclamations.
Okay. Council, how do you feel about that? We're fine? Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I also have old business number 1 to be pulled as well.
Okay. All right. I'm going to need a motion.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda with the removal of new business number 1 and old business number 1 from consent.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bailey. Any further discussion, Council? If not, I'm going to call it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Pete?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the ordinance or the resolution? But I will come back. I do have it. It was out of order. Got it.
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, there's 2 ordinances, number 3 and 4.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2015-21, a resolution of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending resolution number 2014-20, adopting rates, charges, and fees for fiscal year 2014-2015, pursuant to the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, Title III, Administration, Chapter 36, Parks and Recreation, rescinding resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 2015-21, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V, Legislative, by repealing Chapter 59, quasi-judicial proceedings in its entirety, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the deletion from the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 2015-22, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V, Legislative, by recreating Chapter 59, Quasi-Judicial Proceedings, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date. Mr. Mayor, I believe that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. At this time, we're moving towards proclamations. Our first proclamation is National Telecommunicator Week. Councilman Bailey?
Good evening. If I could, from the police department and from the command center, have Shift Supervisor Kent Duvall come up. Is he here? Okay, there he is. Also, we have telecommunicator Johnny Johnson and Caitlin Triner, and she's coming up as well. This is a proclamation of the City of Palm Bay, Florida, for the notice and proclamation of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week for April 12th through 18th, 2015. It's hereby proclaimed by the Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas the public safety telecommunications staff of the Palm Bay Police Department is composed of highly dedicated and deeply motivated professional employees who are the first and most critical contact for our citizens of the City of Palm Bay in countless ways without due recognition by the beneficiaries of their services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link responding to thousands of calls annually for police, fire, emergency medical services, and by dispatching the appropriate assistance as quickly as possible, public safety telecommunicators play a crucial role in the protection of life and property and the preservation of society and its laws. And whereas public safety telecommunicators work selflessly in their capacity to improve the emergency response capabilities of our public safety communication system through their leadership, enthusiasm, devotion, and participation in training for state certification and other related professional activities. And whereas the Palm Bay Public Safety Telecommunicators have undertaken a mission to provide services and assistance to promote, preserve, and to deliver a feeling of security, safety, and quality services to members of our community. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Bailey, on behalf of William Capote, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim April 12th through 18th, 2015 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in the City of Palm Bay, in honor of the Palm Bay Public Safety Telecommunications staff and the vital contributions they make to the safety and well-being of our citizens. In witness whereof, I hereby hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Palm Bay to be affixed this 14th day of April, 2015. So, thank you.
Say a few words. Say a few words. Everybody's shy. Don't be scared of the mic.
I'd just like to thank everybody that comes out to these city council meetings. We try to do the best we can in the comm center every night and during the day for everybody, and we just appreciate all your help and consideration while we do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Shake hands with council. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody's so shy.
Except us.
Our next proclamation will be for National Volunteers Week, and I would like Ron Claire to come up, Director of Human Resource. We match, I guess, some way. National Volunteer Week, April 12th to the 18th, 2015. It is hereby proclaimed by the Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas volunteerism strengthens communities, improves vital social concerns, and enhances the overall quality of life for all citizens, including children, seniors, those who are disabled, impoverished, imprisoned, homelessness, physically and mentally ill, or otherwise in need of assistance. And whereas in 1974, the President and Congress designated National Volunteer Week to occur annually in April as the official time to be recognized and celebrate the efforts of volunteers at the local, state, and national levels. And whereas volunteering can provide life-changing experiences and bring about positive interchange such as increased self-confidence, self-satisfaction, and physical well-being, opportunities to make new friends, and opportunities to gain new skills and abilities. And whereas volunteerism has shown to have positive influence on business that are socially responsible by increasing employee morale, loyalty, teamwork, and goodwill. And whereas volunteer centers, nonprofits, charities, faith-based groups, schools, and national service programs in Florida have joined together with state and local and governments in celebration and praise of volunteers who have given tirelessly and selflessly to the service of others. Now, therefore, I, William Capote, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim April 12th through the 18th of 2015 as National Volunteer Week in the City of Palm Bay, Florida, and encourage all citizens to promote the spirit of volunteerism and to observe the week with appropriate activity programs and ceremonies supporting the theme, applause and cheers for those of our Palm Bay volunteers. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Palm Bay to be affixed this 14th day of April 2015.
Hi. I've got the pleasure of being the Human Resource Director, and I have no right to hold this. My staff do the screening and placements of the volunteers. There are a number of volunteers who volunteer for the city that are here tonight. Please come up and join me on stage, because this is really for you. I'm going to be doing a presentation later, and I'm going to reference volunteers and volunteerisms here, but we really do appreciate it. This is an incredible relationship that we have with volunteers. So would one of you like to say something? I feel the same way on many things. Thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate it. Please greet the council.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, you're next.
Thank you.
That's all right. That's all right. So I just can't see that. Good evening. Can I have Christine Kane and Marsha Booth, please? Okay. Take your time. Come on down. We're going to be doing a notice and proclamation of Earth Day, and I'm all proud to do this. Well, we won't make you come on stage. Thank you for being here. Notice and proclamation of Earth Day, April 22nd, 2015. It is hereby proclaimed by the Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas local communities now face extraordinary challenges such as food and water shortages, disaster relief, and providing reliable, safe, and clean transportation that can be addressed by converting to the use of 100% renewable energy sources. And whereas renewable energy facilities will create approximately 7.4 million operations jobs, and will save the average U.S. person $7,600 per year in energy, health, and climate costs in 2050. And whereas it is understood that the citizens of local communities must step forward and take action to create a green economy to combat the aforementioned challenges and reap the benefits of a 100% renewable city or municipality. And whereas a 100% renewable city or municipality can be achieved through energy efficiency, technological innovation, and converting to renewable energy, public policy, and consumer activism campaigns. And whereas it is necessary to create local success stories to inspire global action, and whereas Earth Day is the beginning of a new year for cities and municipalities to lead the charge in creating sustainable green economies that serve as models for national and international leaders. And whereas, let it be known that the City of Palm Bay hereby encourages its residents, businesses, and institutions to use Earth Day to celebrate the Earth and commit to building a sustainable and green economy. Now therefore, I, Michelle Passion, on behalf of William Capote, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2015 as Earth Day, and we urge the citizens of Palm Bay to use 100% renewable energy by 2050, and we encourage others to undertake similar actions. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Palm Bay to be affixed this 14th day of April 2015. Bring that down. There we go.
Thank you.
And I can hold it for you, too.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, for your support of Earth Day 2015 by pledging to use 100% renewable energy in Palm Bay. By making this pledge, you are leading the charge in creating sustainable green economies that will serve as models for municipalities all across the nation. It's a proven fact that local communities have the power to act faster than national governments. Green economies create jobs, they raise the quality of life for residents, and help preserve the planet for generations to come. You have taken a step forward and pledged action, and I, as well as many of your constituents, thank you. It is my belief that by having a thoughtful and responsible plan, which has at its foundation a respect for the planet, you will be a magnet for new green businesses. I accept this proclamation on behalf of myself and Recycle Brevard, which works tirelessly to eliminate waste of all kinds through educational programs and community projects, preserving our natural resources and educating your future constituents on how to live a more sustainable life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is Tom Michaud? That's okay. Yeah. This is for notice and proclamation of Arbor Day. I would have worn my Johnny Appleseed hat had I known I was going to read this today. Notice and proclamation of Arbor Day, April 24th, 2015. It is hereby proclaimed by the Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Trey Holton, on behalf of William Capote, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, By virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day in the city of Palm Bay, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day at the Palm Bay Arbor Day event at Turkey Creek Sanctuary on Saturday, April 26, 2015, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Palm Bay to be affixed this 14th day of April 2015.
So, on the 26th, we will have a booth set up at Turkey Creek, and we'll actually be giving away a tree to some lucky citizen. So please come out and go home tonight and hug a tree, and it's a good thing.
Would all the pastors please step up?
Well, you couldn't reach down there?
That's all you got? Okay, that's good enough. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you being here. I'll go ahead and read this, and we'll get started here. It is hereby proclaimed by the mayor of the city of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, that whereas the first National Day of Prayer was proclaimed in 1775 by the Second Continental Congress so that all Americans of every religious denomination and background may pray for God's continual love and mercy upon our land. For as it is written in Psalms 33:12, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And that every year the National Day of Prayer is proclaimed by the President of the United States of America. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is an annual observance held on the first Thursday in May, it is based on a federal statute, 36 United States Code, Section 119, which was first signed into law by President Harry S. Truman in 1952. That statute reads as follows. The President shall issue each year a proclamation designating the first Thursday in May as a National Day of Prayer on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and meditation at churches, in groups, and as individuals. And whereas the Declaration of Independence signed by the United States Continental Congress on January 18, 1777, established our nation's humble beginnings on the belief that our Creator have endowed us with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The city of Palm Bay was incorporated on January 16, 1960, for this very purpose, as stated in the preamble of the city charter. And whereas all of us have the freedom to pray and exercise our faiths openly, let us give thanks for the freedom to practice our faith as we see fit, whether individually or in fellowship. And whereas we pray for the safety of our brave men and women in uniform, for their loved ones, and for the speedy recovery of our wounded warriors, let us also pray for police officers, firefighters, and other first responders who put themselves in harm's way to protect their fellow Americans. Let us come together to pray peace and goodwill as we work to meet the great challenges of our time. Now, therefore, I, Harry Santiago, Jr., on behalf of Mayor William Capote, Mayor of the City of Palm Bay, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby proclaim May 7th, 2015, as National Day of Prayer in the City of Palm Bay, Florida, and encourage all citizens to give thanks in accordance with their own faith for the many freedoms and blessings, and in asking for God's continued guidance, mercy, and protection, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Palm Bay to be affixed this 14th day of April 2015.
My friends, National Day of Prayer is an amazing time for us to cry out to God for our cities, for our county, for our nation, and for the world. But today is a good day as well. God is an ever-present help in times of need, and that day is today. That day is on May 17th. Particularly on the 17th, we will be here at the City Hall from noon to 1 p.m. praying together.
That's May 7th.
What did I say, 17th?
Yes.
May 7th. Get that off the video. May 7th, thank you, appreciate it. On May 7th, National Day of Prayer, we'll be here from noon to 1 o'clock praying together for the city and for our county. And so please join us. We would love to pray together with you. And I speak on behalf of the South Brevard Ministerial Association and Love in the Name of Christ, Partnership of Christian Churches here in Brevard County as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Deputy Council.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Take care.
At this time, council, moving item number 1 over, I'm going to allow Mr. Sweeney to read the caption of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, this is resolution number 2015-20. A resolution of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, naming the southernmost Little League field at West Oaks Park as Angels Field in memory of Lacey, Philip, and Christopher, providing for an effective date.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, council, for letting me pull this resolution so that we could speak about it. We don't, we know we have a lot that we could say. It's a very, very sad moment, but I'm very proud of our city that we're moving forward to naming one of the fields at West Oaks Park for these children. And Lacey and Philip McCarthy and Christopher Swist, they are little angels, and I'll never forget that evening driving home and hearing about what had happened. And I know everybody in the city and everyone from the mayor to the council feel the same way. It was very difficult to hear that story. They are angels, and the reason I pulled it was this park is right by my house, and when I walk in that park all the time, I'm always going to think of these 3 little angels. I'm going to remember them and how they played. And that's the memory I want to keep in my thoughts, and I'm sure that everyone feels the same way. So I want to thank the city and the people that brought this forward, and I want to send my condolences once again to the family and all the friends of these 3 beautiful angels. Thank you.
Okay, from my side, I guess as I gave the interview outside, the Deputy Mayor Santiago and I, we were on that field for opening day. So in some way, we're probably crossed path on that particular day of the 7 and 5-year-old. So when I heard of this, it's like I said in my statement, some people could go to a dark place that I can't comprehend. And evil comes in all forms. But what I stated as a statement for me is that doesn't define our city. And that's what I want people to understand. Even though that this was an evil act, this does not define who we are as a community. And I know I was being interviewed outside, and I said, I seen the goodness of this community through 2004, hurricanes, 2007, Mother's Day fires, and later on, Faye, the storm. So I know this community has a great heart. This just happened to be an unfortunate incident that happened in our community. They got national attention. But overall, this does not define our community. What defined our community was during that week, the vigil that they had, where over 600 people showed up to show respect to the family. That is the definition of our community. If you want to define a moment, it was on that day, not the incident. So that's my 2 cents, as I always say.
Mr. Mayor, I think you said it best, and this is something that really hits home to me, to all of us. I'm a father of 2 children myself, and one of them happens to be on a Little League team. So hearing about this and hearing about one of our children here in the city, or actually 3 of our children here in the city having gone through that ordeal, is something that is unimaginable. And you're right, evil did, that was evil. That happened that day. But the Bible says that what the devil meant for evil, God turns it around for good. And that's what we saw during that night and that vigil. We saw the community come out, 600 people plus strong, and everyone, pretty sure they didn't know those children, they didn't know the family, but they knew one thing, and that is that we all needed to pull together, and that's exactly what we did. And I thank God for that.
Mayor and Council, my only comments would be that immediately become learning of the situation. Like yourself, I have 2 small children, my wife and I, and we wanted to go out to the makeshift memorial and leave a few items and pay our respects. And I just remember Reagan leaning down and she was looking at some of the things there, and she's already reading, and she read some of the comments, and she, for the first time, she realized what death was. And it was quite a moment for me as a father. And she came up and she hugged me and she said, "I love you, Daddy." And so, like you said, Mayor, I think it's a tragic situation, but it brings out the best and many other folks. And we are a very special community. So, thank you.
Councilman Bailey?
The only thing that I want to do is just once again reiterate my appreciation to those to the faith community for coming together to pull together our vigil so quickly and to be so smooth as far as moving locations, because it was such an overwhelming outpour from the community wanting to participate in that and share their love, and that I'm still praying for, and think about our first responders every day, from the telecommunicators to our fire and our police who respond to that, and I'm really appreciative of the professionalism that they've shown that evening and all other times as well. And it's just one of those things that I think kind of it hit me in a special way, I think, with my little one, and also in light of recent personal events in my family, that's just kind of relating to the father, especially of the young baby, holding that baby. So I just want to once again just thank all of them, and I just think it's great that it's just an opportunity to remind us to pray, what to focus on, and to let God make great things out of it, and do great things for our community as we bring together and focus on Him and what we can do when we show love to one another. So I just want to once again thank all those people, and we're still praying for the neighbors and the community and the family and everyone else who are still healing.
Thank you, Councilman Bailey. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Swift, would you like to come up and say a few words before we render the decision? I'll go down.
I just want to thank everybody for all the support that we've gotten through the whole community. We're very blessed and proud to be part of Palm Bay. I can't think of another community that would have been so supportive. We have a lot of family and friends behind us. The church, several churches behind us. I don't think I don't think you ever heal from this. I think the best you could do is survive it. And the way we survive it is the Swiss, McCartys, and Knowles all stand together as one family. And we just go day by day. But as far as you guys even thinking about naming the field Angel Field, that really means a lot to us. We just want to thank you guys. And, we just can't say enough, but we miss our kids. We miss our kids.
Stay here with me, okay? It's okay. Okay. Council, I need a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 2015-20, naming a Little League field located at West Oaks Park as Angels Field in memory of Lacey and Frank McCarthy and Christopher Swist.
Second by Deputy Mayor Santiago. Any further discussion, council? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right.
Thank you again. Good man. You're a good man.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay, we have order of business to continue, so we're moving on to presentations. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor. As required under Section 4.05 of the city's charter, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, also known as the CAFR for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2014, has been completed by staff. As you are aware, the audit firm is independent of the city staff and reports directly to the city council. Ms. Debbie Good with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram is here this evening, and I'll ask Ms. Good to come forward, and she will present the final report and answer any questions that the council may have.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You should have received in advance of this a copy of your comprehensive annual financial audit report for the year ended September 30th, 2014. The city did receive a clean, which is an unmodified audit opinion, so everything is accurately stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and government auditing standards, and everything's in good condition. There are reports in here also on internal controls and compliance with laws and regulations, and there was only one comment on internal controls. It was very minor. It is called a significant deficiency. It dealt with a gas tank that we want to make sure better controls are over that to ensure that reconciliations are being done and follow-up being done to ensure there's no missing gas. Again, it's very small, but it was something that we found during our audit we wanted to point out. But overall, the internal controls are very good here at the city. We found no issues with compliance with laws and regulations. We also did a single audit, which is where we test for federal and state grant compliance. This is usually the area where we might find issues because grant compliance is very complicated. But I'm happy to report that your audit team here did a very good job. I mean, your accounting team, not your audit. Your accounting team did a very good job with making sure that you complied with all of the federal and state regulations. We also issue a management letter in here, which is required by the Auditor General of the state of Florida. We're required to make sure that the city is not in deteriorating financial condition or have any financial issues. And again, we reported that the city is in no issues of financial condition. There wasn't one minor comment also in the management letter that's here for you, along with management's response. It was just a very small thing about putting a report in front of the council in the future on the forfeiture funds and making sure it's already been approved by you and everything, but it's just the formality of submitting this report in the future. So again, this is a very good audit report. The city's unrestricted fund balance and the general fund and the water and sewer fund was pretty much the same year to year, not much change in that. And again, we look at financial condition to make sure there's no deterioration in your financial condition or any concerns about the future of the city. So everything looked good, and I certainly would be glad to answer any questions. I did have the opportunity to meet with a few of you individually because I gave you the opportunity to meet. For those of you that did not have the opportunity, I know we had a short time frame from when the audit report came out and this meeting. I would be glad to meet with you anytime that you would like to go over in detail, because this is a large financial statement and there is a lot of accounting standards in here that you have to follow. So I will put that out. But does anyone have any questions?
Any question, council? No, we're good. Hear that?
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. And I would like to introduce Lindsay, who's here with me. She was the one that oversaw the audit and was in the field doing all the work, so did want to introduce you to her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a great job. I picked on you guys a lot, right, didn't I? Okay. So, council, the next task is the consideration. I'm going to need a motion.
Motion to approve consideration of forwarding report to the Auditor General.
Need a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Paxion. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimous. Have a good night.
Thank you.
The parliamentary report, Chad?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce the city's Director of Human Resources, Ron Clare, who will be presenting his departmental report this evening. And it looks like most, if not all, of his staff is here tonight, so I suspect he'll be introducing his fun bunch.
I don't know. They haven't seen us at work. Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, City Council, Acting City Manager, where'd the City Attorney go? Okay. And City Clerk, thank you for this opportunity. These are really challenging times, and challenging times for human resources. I titled this Shifting the Focus and Changing the Culture. And do I have control over that? Thanks. Okay. We recognize the volunteers, and this is a number that we usually give every year. You know, we've got an incredible volunteer group. My staff do a great job in vetting them and placing them. This year, total number of volunteers, 161, 10,389 hours, and if we convert that to a total savings, if we had to hire somebody to do the work that they do, it'd be $181,808. That's a significant contribution in real life money. Many of them, you know, handle some really significant pieces of work for us, and we do appreciate them. We're putting HR on the map, and the map is we mentor our employees, the volunteers, the managers, and the supervisors. We attract the highest level of talent, and we perform by leading by examples with fair, consistent, and accountable service. This is, you know, our future is so bright. Gotta wear shades. You know? So,
I know you went for therapy.
Yeah.
You're sitting on the friendship bench.
Repeatedly. So it was such a risk to sit there with so many people behind me. That's unnerving. That's unnerving. So, over the past several decades, HR has universally been wrestling with its identity. It's transitioned through several stages. The first stage was basically personnel work And in personnel work, we processed forms. We ensured some level of legal compliance by making sure people got hired on time, that the paperwork is ordered so that they got paid, and that it was all done timely, and we were kind of forms police. And with that, you know, nobody likes forms police. Nobody's like, hey, you got your form in yet? You know, you could. So then we looked and we began to recognize, this is several decades ago, that we're really dealing with the most valuable piece of the organization, and that's its people. And the people are the human resources. And we began to have more of an internal focus, and we shifted the focus from managing forms to managing human capital. And we established job descriptions that enabled fair compensation strategies, and we defined competencies that helped us recruit and retain quality people, and shaping our training programs and all of those kinds of things in order to make sure that people have the skills that are required. We ensured performance evaluation systems that, quote, ensured that employees meet the job expectations. And I say ensured because performance evaluations are one of those wonderful things that we really have to do, and that very often, very few organizations do them well. We don't do them terribly, but we don't do them well, and we need to re-energize that process. Okay, and we have measured in this time period. We measured HR effectiveness in terms of meeting HR internal goals. How many applicants did we get? How long did it take us to process those applicants? Those are the kinds of internal HR things that we used to measure. We thought that was success. You know, hey, we went from start to finish in filling a job in only 24 months. You know, 16 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the numbers are. Okay? And that was our mission. That was our goal. That's what we measured. And in today's world, filling places isn't enough. We got to fill the places with the right people. We've got to serve as a business partner. So we move from our internal focus to our external focus. And this is the new paradigm in HR today. Now the complications are, we got more work to do. We got more things we got to know. And we've got fewer things we can measure. Okay? We need to understand not only HR, we got to understand what the organizational mission is. We got to understand what Public Works is trying to do. We've got to understand what the police has to do, and fire, and we've got to understand those as well as all of the other HR stuff, because they're our measure of success. Okay? We need to create systems that are accountable but flexible. In history, and one of my favorite stories. I hate working off an agenda like this. I apologize, you know, but they made me. So that's real leadership when they make you do something. But one of my favorite stories, a good friend of mine, and he's a good friend of mine even though I tell this story. He actually got an award for having an outstanding human resource office. And he had all of these metrics that says, this is how wonderful my office is. But I happened to know the community that he worked in. And I knew some of the directors. And I would call them. And I'd go, hey, they just got an award. I said, what do you think? And they went, boy, HR in this town stinks. I go, what are you talking about? He's got all these turnovers. He said, yeah, but the people they give us don't fit our needs. We can't accomplish the bottom line. Information gets choked. We don't get the support that we need. Our performance evaluation systems look great on paper, but they're such a pain to fill out that nobody fills them out right. And so, yeah, they look great, but they haven't helped us yet. The challenge to HR is figuring out how we're going to help people. We need to be accountable to the bottom line success. No city exists to have good HR. We exist to have roads. We exist to have public works. We exist to have the trash picked up, to have people safe, to have fire services, to have all of those kinds of things. We're there to help them accomplish their mission. And so we've got to establish a culture. I mean, where does HR fit? Now, the wonderful news would be if we didn't have to do all that other stuff. But we do. We have to know about quality recruitment. We have to know how to bring people on board. We have to know how to set up compensation system. We have to know how to do labor relations. We have to know all of those magical things. Benefits. Today is, I mean, my staff are going nuts trying to stay up with all this stuff because the technology, and not Lisa's technology, but the technology of the HR business is growing so dynamically. There are so many court cases that we have to keep up to figure out, does ACA still exist? Have the insurance companies shifted so that what does this mean now? And so we're wrestling with those kinds of things. So with all of this, and with what I feel is our new and critical mission, and that's to facilitate everybody else's accomplishment of their missions, we need to establish a culture. We need to establish a culture that values respect, inclusion, collaboration, and success. Why do we need to have those values? Because those are the values that research says over and over that this is what makes work teams most effective, if we have these kinds of things. Now, as a sidelight to that, and I love doing the right thing that has a sidelight, the sidelight is if we do these things effectively, we don't have lawsuits. We don't have people lawsuits. We don't have people suing us because we discriminated against one of my favorites, old people. Okay. No comments, please. Some of the younger members up there, please be gentle. But the side effect of creating a culture like this is the probability of having discriminatory actions that are not focused on accomplishing the mission, virtually go away. They don't go away totally because, we all make mistakes and we all we're human, at least, most of us. So. But, I've had conversations with some other people, but I mean, we're human. We make mistakes. But establishing that kind of a culture really changes the dynamic of how effectively people work together. HR's always used metrics to demonstrate its effectiveness. How many applications have we processed? How many positions have we filled? How many, and it just kills you. And the reality is, not everything that counts can be easily counted, and not everything that's easily counted that's easily counted really counts. The establishment of culture, I don't know how you measure that, except in some kind of mega statistical way of looking at, 4,700 communities who have a good culture versus 4,700 that don't have a good culture, and look at the effectiveness. But I mean, that's the way statistics work, and that's the way you have to measure this kind of an impact. While those previous measures are still important, we still have to look at how many applications are we processing, because that takes people time. But we also got to look at what's the quality of applicant we're getting. How can we be more effective and more efficient in doing that? We're very fortunate. Somebody before me had incredible wisdom of selecting NeoGov as a technology tool. NeoGov happens to be one of the best, software pieces for recruitment and processing that there is in the field. I have great respect for them. They work hard at making their software more and more effective. Okay. I forget where am I? Tell me where I am. Okay, but our measures today get more complicated because no matter how much we pretend we're not successful unless the roads get done. We're not successful unless the water is cleaner. We're not successful unless the parks are effective. So we need to measure ourselves through there. And trying to figure out how to measure that is incredibly challenging. When we measure training, for example, we often measure how happy are people with the training we've given them. We need to find a way to measure whether or not that training has changed the behavior on the job. That's not easy because we don't control how they behave on the job. And we can do a great job of training, and a supervisor can destroy it in 11 seconds. By the way, we can do a terrible job of training, and a supervisor can make it better in 11 seconds. So the stuff that we have to measure in today's world is stuff that is so interconnected that we have to take a collective bow, or we have to do collective diagnostics. Where did it break down? How did it break down? It's incredibly challenging time. What have I missed? Okay, I'm happy to end. So I've really, and I've talked to you individually, I've really had a good time here. I think that Palm Bay has really good employees. I think Palm Bay has employees that are dedicated to doing the right thing, and I think are working hard at trying to get there. I think that at different times, some things have been let go. Some things have not been focused on or have been focused on in the wrong way. Sometimes people have worked. There used to be a Dilbert cartoon. Where Dilbert, anybody a fan of Dilbert? Okay. There used to be a Dilbert cartoon a long time ago where Dilbert goes in and gets his performance evaluation. And he says, well, what was there that I did that was really good that got me this raise? And the boss said, well, I don't remember, or something back in February or March or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And Dilbert said, okay, thank you. I'll continue to behave randomly and hoping I hit on it again. You know, I mean, some of the things we don't do effectively is communicate with our staff, our line staff. We don't communicate. We take people and make them supervisors and don't give them effective training as supervisors. And then we go, how come your team isn't working? Well, I don't know. I don't know how to create a team. You know, I'm copying what Bob did. You know, what Bob? Isn't he the guy that got fired for not having a good team? He's the only one I knew. You know, I mean, so we get into this kind of craziness that I think HR is the one to try and fix that. Some of the initiatives that we're going to be having, we're going to be pushing, but you know, we're going to be moving. I just stepped away. I apologize. You know, every once in a while I censor myself. So, but we're going to be pushing harder, and I think from what I've seen, we've done a good job at safety training. We're going to have better initiatives and more initiatives in that area. Okay, how can we measure its success? It's got to be mega-analysis, because one person, in the greater scheme of things, we've got such a small workforce. One or two people getting injured throws our numbers off crazily. We would have to have massive longitudinal studies in order to demonstrate effectiveness of better safety for Palm Bay. I can tell you that national research says that if you have a quality safety training program, that you reduced cost of absenteeism, workers' compensation, basic sickness by something like 26%. Basic sickness, I'm sorry, take that back, okay? But the safety end of it by 26%. And in addition to that, there's another savings of citizens who are injured because we haven't done a safe job in how we've done our job. The second piece we're going to have more initiative on is wellness. And by the way, we've got a wellness fair tomorrow. Please come. And but wellness is another area. Is how do you measure that? You know, you don't measure it by pounds. You don't measure it by you can't even measure it by steps taken. You've got to measure it in, again, mega-analysis. You've got to look at, of organizations that have got significant wellness programs, how much money do they save versus those that don't? Those numbers are in the 30 and 35% range. In terms of health savings, the cost of our health insurance gets better if our wellness program is more effective. The lost days for sickness, for days off because we're under stress because our supervisor wasn't a nice person, those kind of days. I can tell you've had one. No offense, Councilman. No. But those are the kinds of savings that we can make. Now, how can we in HR measure that? We can measure how many days sick that we had this year versus last year, but all it takes is 2 people getting sick and our numbers are all messed up. And so it becomes really challenging to be able to measure. That's going to be our newest challenge, is figuring out how do we measure this effectively without relying on these more national, global statistics, okay? That's our challenge. But I'm here to report I've got a great team. I really do. I am really fortunate. I've been in other organizations, and I've walked in, and some days I've gone, oh, what Kool-Aid was I drinking to come here? Okay? I've got a great staff. They work hard. They care about the city. They care about the city. Should they know more? I got news for you. I should know more. Okay? And every day I read new articles. I've got 4 different e-subscriptions to Governing Magazine. I've got 5 different major HR things that I'm hooked into that I read every. You never stop learning because things never stop changing. And then you add to that I got to know what's happening in Parks and Rec, and I got to know what's happening in Public Works, and my staff do too. And okay, I'd like. I'm going to take him to the city attorney's office. Yeah. I like to put in for dangerous duty pay. That's my vision is for us to become more of a dynamic agent for change, positive change in the city, to help all of the other directors become more effective at what they're doing, to facilitate their missions. Okay, happy to answer any questions. If I skipped anything that I was supposed to talk about, please point it out to me. Don't expect me to repeat it, but you can point it out to me.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Love your enthusiasm.
You've been doing a great job, okay,
Thank you.
for all the circumstances, and you dove in and you handle it with honor, you could say. So
Appreciate that.
with that, I appreciate you and what you're doing, okay, in your department, and you do have a great team.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I see all the ladies there. They have your back.
Yeah. and they won't let me back down until we're done.
Okay, counsel, do you have anything else to add?
I'm only going to say that you're the first and only HR director that I ever had so much to learn from, and that's saying something. So we welcome your experience, and we love to have you here.
Appreciate that, Deputy Mayor.
And I just wanted to say, I was thinking a while ago, whenever you're supposed to finish, I think you said you were ready to finish about 5 minutes ago, but you already knocked it. The game was over. You already knocked it out of the park. But I just know everything you were saying, talking about the importance of building that teamwork, and it's kind of dynamic. And And sometimes using those hard stats don't necessarily give you what you need as far as performance measures, and you got to look outside of those. I mean, everything, to me, it's just like, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, I'm not saying that I can do it, but I certainly have been educated on it and seen it, and I definitely appreciate it, and I know that you're heading on the right track. So, you're preaching to the choir up here, and I just say, give you a little amen and hallelujah. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
You survived your first report.
He's funny.
Okay, we're moving to public comment. I guess the first person I have up here is Vicky
Bill Bennett.
Northrop to give a report for the chamber. Okay.
I didn't see her.
Okay, so we'll move on to the list.
Bill Batten?
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I have two comments I want to address on public comments. The first one is Mitten Road between Malabar and Jupiter, which is right out here in front of this building to our west. That road was just resurfaced less than 2 years ago. We had a rain Sunday, and it's tore up to where it looks like the roads in southwest Palm Bay. I have stretches that are almost 15 to 20 feet long, 3 feet wide, where the blacktop is buckling up off the surface already. And it was deteriorating relatively rapid even before these rains started coming. We're just getting ready to start the rainy season, so I can see failure increasing very rapidly based on the process of a road. I'm hoping that this is not what the city is considering our road repairs. If it didn't even last 2 years, we aren't going to be able to get to the roads that are in the southwest if it's on a repeat basis, or we can't even make it a short stint. So take a look at how the process, I'd request that they take a look at how the process was done if it didn't even make 2 years for a major road. And that is one of our main thoroughfares. That is the only one other than 4 roads that go north and south for the people in the southwest to get out of the city. All right. Item number 2, the bike trail along Canal number 1, around Canal 1. I like bike trails. I wish I could put horses on them, but I can't. But the part that bothers me about this is Tillman Canal and St. John's Water Management District have got a responsibility. I'm rewinding my tapes. I'm thinking back not that many months ago where we had meeting after meeting after meeting about saving the Indian River Lagoon. There was no problem imposing rules and regulations on me about fertilizing, and I kept saying at that time the number one problem in the canal, by my standard, was the silt and runoff that was polluting the rivers. It was polluting the canal. That is what the St. John's and Tillman are trying to address, that there is too much runoff coming in off of that bike trail. Let's get back and focus in on what we're trying to do. We already have a rotary bike trail in the city of Palm Bay that taxpayers are paying for. Let's go ahead and let the water management manage their canals and don't turn it into a recreation, parks and recreation problem.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're going to let me ride my horse on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Next.
Cassandra Lewis.
Hello, I'm Cassandra Lewis. I live at 1031 Meadowbrook Road, Northeast. My husband and I bought a home in Palm Bay in December. We moved here from Illinois under the impression that having a big yard, we'd be able to get a pool. We were trying to figure out now, are there any provisions to add more inspectors so that this process of getting building permits for things that you need for your home can be speeded up? Because we also need a shed, and we found out you got to have a permit for that also. And if it's going to take six to 8 weeks to get permits, something needs to be done. We need more than one inspector, especially with all the projects going on at Harris. It's just taking entirely too long for this process, and you're paying out big money for these permits, and you seem like you got to wait half the summer before you can get it done. I've got grandchildren, and I wanted them to be able to enjoy the pool this summer, and it looks like it might not happen. And I want to know, are there any provisions where any more inspectors are going to be added to the payroll so this process can be speeded up?
The answer won't come directly right now, but we'll put you with staff, and they could answer your questions, okay?
Okay.
Sorry for the delay.
Thank you.
Chad, can you have somebody speak with her?
Richard Spellman?
Richard Spellman, still able to live at 873 Faith Street in Palm Bay. I want my brother, to the brother on the road, just add a better check on the recently completed Port Malabar Boulevard. It looks like something that ups and downs and the union, there's a lot that can be improved there on that road. I think a lot of things are being missed, but that isn't what I really got up here to speak about. We're a nation under God, and I was just listening to Brother Ron. Is he still here? Oh, yeah, he is. It's a good thing he isn't under the clock, isn't it? I couldn't resist that one because I could tell more stories if the clock wasn't running. But then, and move on to there. A nation under God, and we need, and I wanted to point up a couple of things that he could, this is a good test program for he and his group there. What is the major test that God gives us? The one thing, if we love the Lord our God with all our mind, our heart, soul, and strength, and then we apply that to loving our neighbor as ourselves, we'll have an even a better department, Brother Ron, as you think about that. And then to just check down the fruits of the Spirit that Paul gives us in the 5th chapter of his writing to the church at Galatia, the fruits of the Spirit. You can check them off, and what Brother Ron was saying, the language is a little different. The first was love. The second is joy. The third is peace. The other is patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and finally, self-control. Isn't that basically what he was talking about? You know, when he had his list over here, I wish I could point to it. I could preach on it too, Brother Ron. With the power that we have of the God who has made us, we can do even greater things than we've ever imagined. I want to appreciate the council inviting the folks that came to participate in the city manager's, applying for the city manager's job. It was great. I learned a lot. I wasn't able to come last night because I had a more important meeting. Our Neon group was meeting, so I wanted to be there. And we had a very successful meeting at that point. But thank you for that. That was a good session. And I think I learned a lot from that. And I have more to say, but is the clock running? I have 32 or only used 32. You can tell, no comments. But thank you for that. It was a good session. I think we're on our way in that, and we can get some things worked on. And probably in the last 3 minutes, if it's not too long to getting to that part, I'll be able to finish up.
Thank you, Mr. Spellman. Okay, moving on to public hearings. Oh. You just want to make. Moving on to public hearing. Okay. Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We are now entering the public hearing section with two of these items being quasi-judicial, items number 1 and 3. Any person who wishes to testify on such a matter must sign a speaker card which contains a sworn oath to tell the truth. Any speaker may be subject to cross-examination by the City Council and any other interested party. Attorneys who are appearing on behalf of a party and not providing testimonial evidence are not considered witnesses and need not be sworn. Any individual addressing the council must state his or her name and confirm that a speaker card has been signed. The order of this proceeding will be as follows. First, the applicant will make its presentation, followed by staff's comments, followed by any other interested party or other person. The applicant will then be allowed concluding remarks, the hearing will then be closed and no additional testimony or argument will be allowed. The council will then deliberate in public. At the end of deliberation, a council member will make a motion on the application for the purpose of bringing the matter to a vote. It is required that the motion be made to approve the application, regardless of the opinion of the council member making the motion. Every council member is then free to vote in favor or against the motion to approve the application. The first one, Mr. Mayor, is ordinance number 2015-18, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of the rear 20-foot public utility and drainage easement located within Lot 9, Block 2407, Port Malabar, Unit 45, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 22, page 13 of the Public Records of Brevard County, Florida, and legally described herein, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing and ask the applicant, Daniel Kane, to come up, please, if he's in the room. If not, this is for final reading, council. I'm just going to move forward. Is there any report from staff, Chad?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask council for a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2015-18 for final reading.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bailey. Any further discussion, council? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Sweeney, on item 2.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, this is not quasi-judicial. This is ordinance number 2015-20, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2015 budget by appropriating and allocating funds as follows. Use of the undesignated fund balance in the following funds: General Fund, Law Enforcement Trust Fund, and Utilities Renewal and Replacement Fund. General Fund KBB grant for landscaping and U.S. Conference of Mayors grant for youth program. General Fund sale of donated properties and transfer of proceeds to Road Maintenance Trust Fund. BCRA DEO grant for market analysis and economic development strategy. Community Investment Program Fund for FDOT grant for US 1 Highway Lights Project. City Attorney Office risk merger transfer resulting in transfers between funds. Lagoon House insurance claim proceeds for repairs, recognizing that such appropriations must be made pursuant to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Bay, Chapter 35. Adopting, ratifying, confirming, and validating the allocations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. Chad, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item?
Bill Batt, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I talked about this at the last meeting on the 600 and, how much was it?
675?
$675,000 that had a different name that I was not able to locate anywhere in the budget. City manager found me the paperwork that was required, and I addressed that, and he was very proficient and made me feel good. I hate to see him no longer be city manager, but that's neither here nor there. But I appreciate what he did. But me being me, I'm going to request, since this was just a loan back out for refunding of the money, that now that money, which was not coming from the road maintenance fund, well, since it was just going to be, it's going to be coming back to the city, that money now be placed in the road maintenance fund, because it was for road maintenance. When we get it back from the Department of Transportation, have it go back into our road maintenance fund. That'll put us back up around $120,000 instead of $600,000. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to need a motion, council.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2015-20 for final reading.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Passion. Any further discussion, council? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 3, Mr. Sweeney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a variance, so I believe you have it in your packet. I don't believe there's a necessary reading for the variance.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing.
Mr.
Chad.
Mayor,
You're the applicant.
we do have someone who filled out the card.
Oh, okay, okay.
It is a quasi judicial. I apologize, Your Honor. Mr. Mayor, I should have mentioned that.
Okay. No, I'm going to open the public hearing, and I know that we're the ones putting in the request, so is there any information that needs to be added? Chad?
No additional information needs to be added, just any questions that council may have, we'll be happy to address them.
Okay. I know that we have cards from the audience. Deputy Mayor?
Jim Traeger?
Good evening. My name is Jim Trauger. I'm here representing our client, Metro Development. They own the Chaparral property to the west, and they wanted to go on record saying they'd like to see the tower limited to 35 feet as allowed by code. Currently, they feel a 70-foot tower would be quite visible from their future residential development and cause a hardship on that as far as lot sales, that sort of thing. They're based on the west coast of Florida, not too far from Clearwater, which I'm told is a similar sized city to the city of Palm Bay. They recently had a 50-foot tower for a similar use over there. Like I said, they'd like to see the height limited to 35 feet, but if the variance is approved, they'd like to see a stipulation that is limited to 50 feet. That's all I have. If there's no other questions, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other cards?
That'll be it.
Any to add, Chad?
No, sir.
Okay. Council? Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Okay.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I understand what the range is for, and it's for training. We've got a nice grant to have it built. It's very beneficial to the city. I understand firefighters and police officers needing the ability to train on rappelling. The one item that I had conflict with this on when I was reading this was the ability to shoot off of a 70-foot tower. Our police force is well-trained, they're highly proficient, and the only way you can do that is to practice. I understand that. But when you're elevating somebody up 70 feet in the air, where there's no berm to catch any stray bullets, you're asking for a potential problem. And I know our police officers are safe with their guns, but accidents do happen. I'd hate to see something happen when I'm from 70 feet up with the round going astray. There's no berms to catch it. 223 is going to travel far. Right? Closest building was 1,200 feet away. I understand that. From 70 feet in the air, there is nothing to stop it. Okay. I'd go back to analysis number 1 of your proposal, which was safety. If it fails to meet the criteria for safe, then it's something to consider. Now, with that said, I would like to be able to put a deer stand up on my property and practice the same way that the police department will have the ability to practice also. Good for the goose should be good for the gander. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item? Is there anything the staff needs to add, Chad?
Just point out what's already stated in the packet regarding the height and placement of the tower. Staff feels should not cause detrimental impacts to the surrounding property due to it being placed in a part of the property that abuts a wetland as well as a 261-acre parcel that's owned by St. John's. There is one point I'd like to ask Mr. Watkins to come to the podium and provide some clarification on what's generally allowed and how this is somewhat could be similar to a cell tower.
David Watkins, Growth Management Director.
what the city manager is discussing is, in this district, as in all of our various districts, certain things are exempt from height. One is towers. And by itself, this tower is exempt from height. It would not need a variance. The reason that our staff ruled that it needed to go through the variance process to have public hearing was because it's going to be occupied at the top. There are going to be folks up top who will be rappelling down, and they you know, have other training events, and they discuss the possible shooting and things like that from that tower. You know, that's a functional issue, not so much a development issue for the variance, but on the height itself for the tower, we could have towers 2 or 3 times the height that are exempt, don't come through this body. Because if they're not occupied, they're exempt from the height requirement. I mean, certain things, just like in residential, your chimney is exempt from the height requirement, extend up above the roof. You know, your tower, your various tower things that you have in different zoning districts are all exempt. Above, you can have AC units and other things on top of the roofs above. I mean, a lot of things are exempt from those height requirements. So the fact that you're going to be able to see a tower from a half mile or quarter mile away, you could see a tower there without ever having a variance. So that visibility of a tower is not necessarily the issue. The other concerns, I mean, you'll have to weigh those. I know you were involved with the police department on a lot of this, getting funding for this facility, and this was an essential part of that facility that you guys have vetted. That's not necessarily our building concern and the variance concern, but I will point out the visibility concern. You could easily see a tower, wouldn't necessarily have people on it all the time, but again, they put it in the location best suited based on the property. It's at the southwest corner of our property, as far as possible, as far as we can put it, away from future residential, next to the St. John's property. So they've done their best to locate it in the best location we can fit on our property. But again, that visibility issue, it doesn't stand by itself. You could have a tower, and we could put this tower up as long as we didn't let anybody climb to the top all the time. So.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. You have a question? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I did see, actually, I was here present at the meeting when this item came up. The concession of the tower being located in the southeast corner.
Southeast, yeah.
Was it southeast corner? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Was that something that I believe someone had came to the podium and had requested that? Was it originally located somewhere else, and that's a concession that was made? Or is that how it was originally applied?
I believe that's how they planned it.
Okay.
That's what the program shows.
Okay.
But again, I mean, they have tried to look at the things they put on that site with the idea that we have neighbors, and tried to cite that stuff as best we can. However, that's been a facility for quite a while. It's been used for quite a while. The residential still hasn't come that they're talking about to the west. So, and to the north of us is a gun range that has been there a long time, long before most of the development around it. So the fact that this was being used that way should not be new to anyone. I understand the concern, but they could have that visibility concern regardless of the variance. I mean, the tower by itself would be allowed. It's just our ruling that we feel that's an occupancy when you have people on all the time, and that's why we made it come through this process.
Well, I would just ask that, if there's any way possible that staff can work with those property owners to the west with regard to any aesthetics, that maybe you can make it more, pleasing to the eye, if it is possible. I would just ask that they do that. So.
And that may be possible. There are berms on the west side of the property between the residential and this, and it's possible they could plant trees or something on that to make that even higher. And again, that's an angle. The closer you are, tighter the angle, so actually you wouldn't necessarily have to have a 70-foot tree to block that view. You know, a 20-foot tree on top of a 20-foot berm is pretty good. So I'm sure the city staff would look at that,
Okay,
if that's a desire of council.
okay. Any other questions, council?
Well, sorry, Dave. Just one question here. I just wanted to ask you a question with regards to Mr. Batten's concern with regards to shooting off the tower. Will that be done? If so,
You want that to the chief?
Okay.
I think,
Can we have the chief come up?
I think some of those operational questions, you know, like why it needs to be that high, or the shooting, I think the chief
Yeah.
is the appropriate
Mhm.
person.
Thank you, Dave.
Sorry, if council would like, I can ask Chief Rinkins to come forward.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Smile.
Just wanted to ask you a question with regards to Mr. Batten's concern with regards to shooting off the top of the tower. If that will be done, can you just tell us a little bit of why you believe it will be safe? And I know, and I have no doubt in my mind that our police officers are very good with firearms. But if you would just perhaps just tell us a little bit about that, and I sort of assuage our concerns here.
Sure. Well, my background also consists of being on the SWAT team for 12 years. I've been at that range ever since its inception. Those berms are higher than is required by FDLE and NRA, so they're very high in comparison to what they need to be. I don't have the exact heights offhand, but when you're shooting at the top of the tower, number one, it's realistic training, and that's what we need to do. We may have to take shots from a rooftop, so it's very realistic. In my opinion, I believe that the likelihood of a stray round going over the berm from the top of that tower is less than shooting from the ground, because you're shooting on a downward angle into the berm. If you're shooting on the ground in a prone position, you know, you're still going to have to shoot very, very high in order to clear that berm. And also keep in mind that the rifles that we're going to be shooting off the top of the tower, it wouldn't be handguns. These guys are trying to hit something within 3 inches of each other. Targets that are literally as big as my hand. And you've seen the size of that berm out there. So, you know, the likelihood of a stray round is extremely small. Not saying it can't happen, but it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. I don't think it's any more dangerous or any more likely than the shooting that we're currently doing.
Okay. And I just want to reiterate again, you're going to be basically shooting down from the top going down.
Yes, sir.
Okay, not a problem. I just wanted that to be made
Sure.
public.
On
and-
record.
Okay.
On record. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to ask council for a motion.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve request by City of Palm Bay for a variance to allow proposed training tower to exceed the maximum height in GU zoning.
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Santiago. Any further discussion on this item, council? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Good luck with the range. Board and committee reports. Let me get there. Okay. Space Coast Transportation and Planning.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I was not able to attend. However, I will defer to Councilman Holton.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the meeting Probably one of the highlights of the meeting was an exhaustive discussion and presentation on our ITS in Brevard County, our Information Transportation System. It was a healthy debate that also occurred after the fact, after the presentations. There were some questions about basically getting our most bang for the buck by increasing the efficiency of our roads out there, especially at signals. And so that was interesting. One of the questions I brought up was two things. One, I'm sure Councilman Bailey would have appreciated what I asked, and that was at these cameras at intersections, were they being recorded? And I was assured that for purposes, especially considering privacy, they were not recorded. And the other question I had was, is our ITS at the county, and those are the folks at the city that coordinate with them, also talking to All Aboard Florida?
Okay.
And ensuring, because there's been a lot of discussion out there by constituents that All Aboard Florida could disrupt quite a number of intersections out there. We don't have a whole lot in Palm Bay, but there are quite a number up and down the Brevard County US 1 corridor. So they assured me that they absolutely are coordinating with All Aboard Florida to make sure that it has the least disruption as possible. So that was the main thing.
Main theme?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Space Coast League of Cities was last night, and if I wasn't here, I would have been there. So I have nothing to report. The Tourist Development Council meeting is next week. In the Palm Bay Hospital, that meeting hasn't come yet. So those, I don't have any report to give under those. Moving on to procurement. On the procurement, we have item number 2 on the miscellaneous. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is requesting council's consideration to finance the purchase of fire apparatus. As discussed previously, the city's capital maintenance needs are plentiful. The intent was to discuss priorities of these capital maintenance needs, including roads, IT, facilities, and other fleet items during the fiscal year 16 budget process. However, due to breakdowns in our reserve units, the fire department has had to brown out units, thus creating a void within our response areas. So staff is proposing a few options for council to consider tonight. Just wanting to point out that options 1 and 2 are the only ones that staff would recommend at this particular point. And just wanted to mention Chief Stables is here tonight and available to answer any questions council may have on this item.
Okay. If the chief come up.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Okay. I guess, Chief, I just wanted understanding between option 1 and 2, and here we go from here to here. Explain to me this whole process of.
Well, as I spoke in my department presentation, the issue has come to roost. We had to down a unit last week. I notified the city manager. We've had more and more of those happen. That being said, there are some options on the table. If we were to get 2 trucks, then I get a little bit of leeway. Now, I have borrowed from our neighboring jurisdiction 1 vehicle, but there are no other vehicles available to borrow. So we've done every effort we know to do to work through this, and now we're in front of you going, we have to go one direction or the other, or we decrease the level of service that we provide to the public.
And that cannot
I want to
happen.
make sure that you all are aware where we're at and what we're doing. So
Okay.
that's the difference between the 2 options. The 2 apparatus will give us a little more flexibility and give me a little more sleep time and ability to sleep at night.
No, we've had this discussion.
Yes, sir.
One-on-one, and I knew that this day was going to come. We were kind of buying time, but we're here. And I think now we have to make a responsible decision, and we have to listen to you, that you're the expert on the ground. So from my perspective, I don't have a problem with option 1, because I don't want our critical service to get hurt. So that's my feeling. So, council.
Okay. Can I answer any other questions?
Sure. I have a quick question over. Well, actually, I have a few questions. looking at these prices, and I notice the further out we go every year, 3, 5, 7, 10, the prices are essentially higher. And they're pretty significant. And so my question here is, where did the prices come from, and did we go and perhaps expanded our search more in order to look for better prices? That would be my first question.
If I understand your question, you're asking about the financing part
Right, the financing
and
part.
extending the financing out.
Right.
I will tell you that finance actually did a much better job with financing.
Oh, gotcha,
We did it,
okay.
we did it down and dirty. Here's what we got from the vendors who provide fire trucks, and we provided that. The last time we bought a fire truck, though, and we went through that process, in the end, we get finance involved. They actually are the experts in financing, and they were able to get us a much better rate going forward. So my expectation is if we got approval to do this, then between finance and the fire department, we're going to be able to sit down and make something happen. So these numbers are very rough, as it says in the memo, but it's the best we had. The other issue for us was immediate delivery, meaning I can't wait for a truck to be built for 6 months. I need trucks that are ready to roll off the line right now and come to us. So that's the reason for these price ranges for the apparatus.
Okay, I guess I was curious as to how much they were, they would cost if they were just purchased outright one time.
If we bought them the way we bought our last engine, it's in the $450,000 range.
That would be for the
These
two
that are
pumpers.
demo, each, these demo trucks, though, are in the $355,000 to $360,000 range. But they're built already, and they're demo units. So,
Any
So
other
they're ready
questions?
to go- I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So those then are ready to go? I mean, you can get them,
short delivery time.
Yeah.
Meaning, once the financing was secured, we could do that. It all depends on the procurement process as
Yeah.
well, though, and that's the other side of this, is we got to make sure. These trucks are actually part of the sheriff's office bid for the state of Florida, so they're covered under that. It's not us dealing directly with a vendor or anything like that. It's actually things that are on a bid. So.
Okay, so I guess that's what I was trying to understand, and just see if there are more options.
We believe this is the best price we can get, and
Okay.
we have explored every option that we knew to explore with multiple vendors and multiple contracts. So,
I think between, as you came on chief and even when you were deputy, okay, I know we had long conversations about this, and you warned, and warned, and said this day will come,
Several
and
years.
you've been patient in between, and I think that now we need to deal with the situation. So,
and is it my assumption, I think I read in here, that it's, they last for 14 years?
that's the average age of our
Average.
apparatus right now on the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
The two reserve apparatus, one of which is out of service, are 30-plus
yeah, we have a whole.
Wow.
years old. So they have exceeded their life expectancy
Yeah.
for what you would expect to get out of an apparatus.
So at least if we did the 10-year, we would, at least,
We still should
have
have
it.
viable use of the truck
Yeah.
going forward. My expectation is we'll get 15 to 20 years out of an
Yeah.
apparatus. We've done a really good job of continuing the service life of equipment beyond its expected service life.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a really good job in this city. Fleet does some amazing things with Band-Aids and baling wire for our fire trucks, and we're still able to deliver direct service to the public. So I want to make sure to get that plug in there, because it's not for lack of trying that we haven't done those things. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Deputy Mayor?
actually, you did, and you answered other questions, too. Okay, that's good. There's no doubt in my mind that you need these pumpers. And, my intentions in asking these questions is just to see if we can get a better price for them. And you answered my question, these are the best price. I was just curious as to what the one-time payment would be for two pumpers. But with that, I'll
Under this plan, it's about $710,000, I believe, is a rough number that I have, $710,000 for two. That's the rough number I have, so right at $750,000.
How much is the cost of the financing for each of these options? Do you have that broke down?
I do not have the percentages.
Would
off the top
Yvonne
of
be
my head.
able to answer that, Chad? Or Chad, can you answer that?
Not at this moment, but I did want to mention, as Chief Stables did, that if authorization is provided, this procurement would go through our purchasing division. And as you all know, we have a very fine, well-respected purchasing manager who will, ensure that we do get the best price out there.
That was my only question. I mean, and along the deputy mayor's line of thinking, of course, I know that Chief Stables is definitely conscious of the taxpayer's dollar and want to get the most of it. I think this council will do the right thing, make sure we have the equipment that our firefighters need. But I think we also have to consider why we weren't able to get that in the past and make sure that we take the actions we need to make sure that we're able to keep up this equipment in the future. We have already made over $600,000 of adjustments to our budget, drawing from our general fund balance so far this year, or this fiscal year. That would cover this. And I know that we had some other projects like the HVAC project, which I brought up in the community center, which I think was very important. But I guarantee you that any of our residents would much rather have you guys there with that pumper when their house is on fire than they would be cool and sweat it out during a hot night. So, my only comments is that I think the council, as a policy-making body up here, has to look at our priorities and make sure we set them straight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other
Mayor?
questions?
Yes.
If I could, just to confirm what Chief Stables had mentioned, the best price to date that we've received if to purchase the 2 units outright is just over $713,000.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion, council? If not, I'm going to need a motion. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Do we make a motion with the option that we choose?
Mhm.
Yeah.
To me, option 1, but that's my personal, because I know what they need. This is not a discussion that happened yesterday. And it's not due to any negligence of council. We had a budgetary constraint, so they were patient with us, and I think we need to do due diligence and move on this. So I'll let you make the
Do we make a
motion.
motion and then also choose the payment option that we want, or do we want to?
You have to make the
Make a motion
motion
before we discuss
according
it.
to the.
I guess we have to discuss it, make a motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve option number 1.
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Santiago. Any further discussion, council?
Yeah, the reason why I asked the questions that I did was simply I'm just counting beans over here. I noticed to purchase the 2 pumpers outright, as Chad well said, was $713,000. To purchase the 2 pumpers using a 10-year financing plan would be come out to a total of $838,000. So that's over $100,000 difference. Now, I understand that would be, that's over $100,000 difference. And I think that's worthy of discussion.
No,
by the
I understand
council
what you mean.
To see what would be the best option here. I mean, do we take a long-term approach but pay well over $100,000 more, or do we save money up front? And I think I'd like to open up that discussion.
I mean, it could be.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mayor, thank you. I think the deputy mayor makes a great point, and I'd much prefer, in general, to avoid those finances charges if we have the money that we can spend it from our general fund. So if we have it, that we could do it on a shorter term or today. I know the deputy mayor's talking about today. I don't know if he's counting the beans. I'm trying to keep talking here a little bit. Maybe he'll count the beans for the 3-year plan, because I wasn't doing that while he was talking.
Too many
or maybe
beans.
somebody else will.
Too many beans for me.
Come on, Trey, wake up. But anyhow, I agree with him, and I think when we have important things that we can do it in a physically responsible manner, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Chad,
what would it take to get this, like, done, as council is stating, like, today, instead of going through the finance process?
Just authorization tonight from council to allow us to proceed, and then, as Chief Stables mentioned, he'll work closely with finance to, to secure it.
Chad, how many, what do we have right now in our general fund, if you would remind the council?
In terms of the general fund balance, to date, just going on memory from Ms. McDonald's last financial report, I believe it was in Ms. McDonald, please correct me if I'm off, but
He's hoping you answer.
I believe it was, I think it was in the $9 million range.
Okay. And if we were to approve this one-time payment here, would there be any transfers to help this go along in order to fund this, or
Sure.
would it just be?
Yeah, how that would work is, I believe it was last council meeting where the final reading was tonight for the second budget amendment for fiscal year 15. We would just add this item to the third budget amendment that will be coming to council once, there's enough items to bring to council to make the item.
Okay. Council?
Mr. Mayor, I was just quickly doing my math for myself. I came out to $735,000 is our total cost on that 3-year plan in option 1 for the 2 tankers, 2 pumpers. What was that? I was trying to recall again, what was the estimated cost for if we purchased it, with cash today? So
There's still
that's not
negotiations will still have to happen, right?
Negotiations still would have to happen, okay. But 713, so we're looking at an estimated difference about 22,000
Yeah,
in those
from the
2
3
options, so I just wanted to let the council know that. And
I mean, if we don't go, right, if it.
3 years, a 3 or
if-
5 year.
Right, because sometimes they don't penalize you if you pay it right away. Right, you could finance it now, within a year you could pay it, and do it that way. You could always find the option, as long as you negotiate it, and the vendor doesn't penalize you for paying it early. But we could be careful, I know the bean counting, but you could bean count the other way too. You could finance it, because you may not have the capital to expel right away, and then pay it right away afterwards, after we get to the first budget cycle, and we just get it done.
Absolutely, but there's a reason why bankers make so much money.
Yeah, I know.
My,
But
either way, I'm good either way.
I'm in favor of the 3-year plan.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm good with 3 years.
A 3-year?
Actually, I would agree with the 3-year plan also.
Okay. All right, so that would be
Do
we have to amend the motion?
Change the motion, okay. Hang on, I lost my spot. Amend my motion to approve the option 1 at the 3-year, 3 annual payments.
Okay. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bailey. Any further discussion on top of the bean counting?
Well, I was just hoping we can really get a good price.
There you go.
We went there and say, hey, listen, we can pay for this one time.
Give us a better
Now
deal.
come down
We'll
with the
try it.
price.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see.
Okay.
We'll do it this way.
I'm going to call it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Unfinished and old business. Item 1 was pulled.
Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I know everybody's going to think I'm a real stick in the mud,
Never.
but I was looking at the contract for the Tough Mudders, and I noticed on page 267, the city's going to write off $30,000 on potential funds coming in. I also noticed that the city's going to pay $48,000 for clearing of land. That's $78,000 coming from the city that could have been going to my roads. I understand what the Tough Mudder is going to do. I understand it's going to be a good thing for the city. But I would be amiss in who I am if I didn't point out the fact that $78,000 for 15 acres in the middle of nowhere could have been a quarter mile of a paved road. $78,000 is still $78,000.
Okay.
And I know it will be a stuck-in-the-mud problem. But the other thing, talking about the mudder, as it relates to roads, the area where the Tough Mudders is going to be held is out in the compound at the crosshairs of the roads. There's only, of the roads that go north and south in southwest Palm Bay, of the 3 roads that lead to that, 2 of them are blocked off. Garvey, dead-end road, you can't come down it. Gaynor, blocked off, you can't get down it. You have to go all the way over to DeGroot Road in order to get out to the compound area. I just want to kind of focus in on how bad our roads really are, that you can't even get to a function this big without relying on one road that gets you there.
No, you could still take Emerson. You could come off Malabar onto Emerson, which is a 4-laner, which would take you all the way to Bombardier.
Can you?
Yes.
You mean where Emerson turns into Bayside Lakes Boulevard?
Yeah, all the way through.
And I guess you could take Eldron down to to Bayside Lakes Boulevard and then
Correct.
take
And then
head west.
Make a right. That's not one, I have a photostatic memory, so I know my roads.
I'm just going, I'm starting from the west,
I know,
working into
you're
where it's
thinking of
out.
DeGroot, yes, you're thinking of that one, but remember, there's also
And the
travel.
next one over, Emerson,
Right.
you still have to cross all the way over. You have to cross
Yes.
over to Groot in order to
Right.
get to that one.
But if you're coming off of 95, depending where you exit, if you come off on Palm Bay Road, yes, and you come down to Minton, the only entryway that you're going to go is going Minton to then DeGroot. I understand that, but not everybody's going to come off Palm Bay Road. Some people may, as a matter of fact, some people may be staying at Holiday Inn Express or Comfort Suite, so they're right there on Malabar Road, and they're going to come down to either San Filippo and then Jupiter to connect
Around.
either to Eldron or Emerson. We don't have a one-pony show in our city. That's what I'm trying to say. We have a lot of entryways to get to that position, so I'm just saying.
All right, I'll reiterate my statement then.
Okay.
People coming from the west going out there have to bypass 2 dead-end roads in order to reach the Tough Mudder function going
I got
on
you.
out in the southwest Palm Bay.
I got you. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That better?
That's better.
And you do know I'm a stuck in the mud, literally. Okay. May you all have a good evening.
Thank you, Bill. Oh, counsel?
Mayor, I just kind of have a comment, and that is that Mr. Batten kind of missed also an opportunity in our last agenda item that we may have saved some interest payments, you know. I'm surprised he didn't say you could take that savings and interest and apply it to the road fund. He didn't catch that, but I just want to let him, you know, I'm hoping you're keeping track, as I said at a previous council meeting, a tabulation of all these things. So when we get to the budget workshops, I expect you to have a total.
Counsel, I'm going to need a motion.
Motion to approve consideration of entering into a
Everybody
lease
sleep.
agreement with Cogan Wingham Partnership for the Tough Mudder event.
Second,
Second by Councilwoman Paxion. Is there any further discussion, council?
sign in the right place.
If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous. All right, council business. Councilman Bailey.
None, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Holton.
Originally, I wasn't going to have one, but just real quickly, back under my TPO meeting report, I don't have a rewind button here. We're live right now. And I may have said information transportation systems. It's called intelligent transportation systems. So I'd like to correct myself from the previous report, and also because it's germane. On April the 2nd, if you remember, I asked the council if it was possible for staff maybe to get in touch with DOT or the county with regard to the traffic backing up on I-95 southbound, especially at Malabar. I just wanted to commend staff for starting to communicate with the DOT and the county on that situation. It came in on our email. I would just also ask, because it's relevant and germane to the ITS, that there is a sign north of Palm Bay Road. Sometimes you see it say silver alert or, traffic stuff. Maybe if the ITS folks could keep an eye on the camera at Malabar and I-95, and when it starts backing up, put it up there on that screen on 95. It's just something to think about, if we can do that. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Fascione?
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody about Relay for Life is coming up again at Bayside High School. I'm going to enjoy it because I'm not on a team or the committee, and I'm just going to go out and be a participant. And now that I've been exercising, I'm ready to do my time around the track. And I want to thank everybody out there in the community that is supporting this, and the City of Palm Bay has always been very supportive of this event, and I look forward to just going out there. So Bayside High School, if you can come on out and join Relay for Life on the 25th, Saturday. Opening ceremonies at 2 o'clock, and if you've not seen the luminary ceremony at night, I think it's like 8 to 9. It's beautiful, and you'll see all the candles lit around the field, and it's quite touching. So I will be there again with my luminary bags for the family members that I've lost to cancer. So I hope everybody comes out and has some fun, and we'll see you there. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Deputy Mayor?
No report.
That took longer. I have no report.
Wow, you guys are amazing, man.
We're just laughing, that's all.
It's 2 days of time. It's 3 days for you guys.
Yeah, I know. New business. We're moving to item 9, and that would be me. This is the annual conference. This is part of the CDBG. I sit on the CDBG community grant. Going back out there, this is part of my U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I just wanted to let council know that I wish to attend. And I know that a motion needs to be put forth by council in order for this to happen.
All right. Go ahead.
Motion to approve consideration of the mayor to attend the United States Conference of Mayors 83rd Annual Conference in San Francisco, California, June
Second.
19th.
Oh, sorry.
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 June 19th through the 22nd, 2015.
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Pascione. Any further discussion on this item, council?
Yeah,
If-
go get some business and bring it back.
Thank you very much. I'm going to draw the
I know you
question.
will, I know.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 10, we have to reschedule the meeting to a Tuesday. I need a motion on that.
Motion to approve consideration of rescheduling the second regular council meeting in June 2015 from, I don't have the dates, I'm sorry.
It doesn't.
Can I just say that?
It
way?
does say.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine, because it's the second regular council meeting. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Pascione. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, item 11, going to defer to our city clerk, Alice.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Council has received information in regards to the city boards conducting bus tours and inspection trips within the city, and the subject matter is being submitted to Council tonight for discussion and consideration.
Okay, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
as we know, we have advisory from our very well-qualified city attorney on how to handle this. I know that he's looked out for the best interest of our road committee. I see our chairman sitting there right now. And I think he's probably been explained to him, probably understands that, where Mr. Landon is coming from with his advisement. Mr. Landon also sent a memo responding to that, which I believe that was in the agenda as well. Certainly a public record. whenever I read the memo sent by the city clerk, I thought there were two implications. One was either that our board last year, our ad hoc board, which went out as a fact-finding advisor, or fact-finding board, and they took a bus ride last year, which I was not on there at the time, but Councilman Holton and our chairman of the current board, Mr. Weinberg, was there as well. So it seemed to be there's implication either that and this board must both be prohibited or should not be riding on the bus together and as subject to sunshine law, or that neither board is subject to the sunshine law, and therefore Mr. Landon is simply being an obstructionist in his opinions and requiring extra staff time and effort to do these 101 bus rides, which is what our alternative was, which is what was worked out with the board after Mr. Landon's recommendations, his legal advisement. If you look back, and I know council has this, if you look at section 4 of Mr. Landon's legislative memorandum from April 11th, 2015, and I'm sure you guys can pull up from email, page 6. I'm just going to read some of this. He says, city clerk's actions have violated, he mentions where city clerk's actions have violated city's charter. He says, pursuant to section 3.07 of the city's charter, the city clerk shall give notice of council meetings to its members, to the public, shall keep the minutes of its proceedings, and perform such other duties are assigned by this charter or by the council. There is no mention in the city's charter that the city clerk is charged with rendering legal opinions to council, or in the alternative, directly refuting legal opinions tendered by the city attorney's office, which I agree that this is what's happened here. In fact, such activity, even as prescribed by the city's charter, would be even if prescribed by the city's charter, would be a violation of section 454-23 Florida Statutes 2014, because Ms. Passmore does not have a law degree, is not admitted to practice in the state of Florida. Conversely, pursuant to section 3.113B of the city's charter, the city attorney shall provide required legal advice to the council and to the city manager. Nick Simon-Talis, Patricia Smith, Pete Sweeney, and Mr. Landon are the only employees of the city who have law degrees, which is a doctoral degree, and admitted to practice law in the state of Florida. Hence, per the city's charter and Florida law, the only employees who should be tendering legal advice to council are the attorneys employed by the city attorney's office. Yet, as he mentions here, this was written by our city attorney, yet for the third time in the past several months, Ms. Passmore has directly challenged a legal opinion issued by your city attorney's office, to wit, email entitled Amendments to City Attorney's Employment Agreement dated August 7, 2014 at 10:54 a.m. 2, email entitled Proposed Changes to Risk Management Division dated January 29, 2015 at 11:41 a.m. And 3, email entitled Regular Council Meeting Number 2015-11, New Business Item Number 11, Bus Tours Inspection Trips, our most recent one. He goes on to address several of these, which I think internally and even publicly there's awareness of this confrontation. But I wanted to limit just to the one that's currently in front of us, the agenda item. He says, in regarding the local road advisory board and the bus tours, he says, I am absolutely offended by two statements on page 1 of Ms. Passmore's memorandum attached to her email in this item. First, she states in the second sentence of the penultimate paragraph on page 1, Mr. Gleason is very well respected and well renowned throughout the state of Florida as the guru on the Sunshine Law. Second, she asserts in the first sentence of the final paragraph on page 1, the city attorney's position cannot be supported by law. I have tremendous respect for Ms. Gleason and shall by no means attack her integrity, professionalism, legal ability, or knowledge. I firmly believe that a person does not build himself up by tearing others down. I shall only address the implicit messages in Ms. Passmore's statement. To wit, I am not informed in this area of the law, and 2, I am not well respected as an attorney. 1, knowledge in the area of city, county, and local government law. Mr. Land is one of only, and I am ad-libbing a little bit here, Mr. Land is one of only 245 attorneys of the 83,267 attorneys eligible to practice law in the state of Florida, recognized as a board-certified expert in this area by the Florida Bar. In addition, he has clerked for Justice Quince at the Florida Supreme Court for 2 years. Hence, he is intimately familiar with interpreting case law. Furthermore, as noted herein, he has formulated his own opinion based upon case law. To intimate that that his opinion cannot be supported by law is immensely unjustified and offends him to his very core, he states here. And addressing his second point, objective determination of competency, he says, I've been exhaustively evaluated by my peers for both my legal competency and ethical standards. As a result of these exhaustive, peer-reviewed evaluations, I have received the following objective evaluations of my competency and ethics. AV preeminent, and that's trademark there, peer review rated by Martindale Hubble, the highest possible rating in both legal ability and ethical standards an attorney can receive in his or her career. Rated superb by AVO, the highest rating by his lawyer referral service, calculated using a mathematical model that considers the information shown in a lawyer's profile, including a lawyer's years in practice, disciplinary history, professional achievements, and industry recognition. And 3, recognizes one of the top 2% of attorneys practicing in the state of Florida, and Florida trends Florida Legal Elite in the years 2012, 13, and this current year, 2015. And looking at the matter further, beyond of whose purview that this falls into, there was actually a very recent case where another legal expert has ruled an opinion on this. I'm going to share it with the council. Should be enough copies. You guys can pass that down. If you look on the second page, you'll see some highlights where I'm going to go to. But the title of this is Sunshine Expert, Wellington Council Should Be Careful About Social Gatherings. Okay, so this was another expert from the First Amendment Foundation, which is, this is what they do every day. They look for these type of violations of Sunshine Law and other First Amendment issues. Says Barbara Peterson, so I'm just going to skip it. It was a similar situation regarding case law. It says Barbara Peterson, president of the First Amendment Foundation, said council members should be cautious about wading into gray territory. Issue related to Wellington's equestrian industry often come up before the council, which is they were going to a polo place where all the council members were invited. There's generally no prohibition on council members attending social functions together so long as they don't talk about public business, she said. But if I were the attorney, and this is another highlighted portion, if you look at the second highlighted portion, it says, but if I were the attorney for the village council, my advice would be to stay away, Peterson said. It may or may not be a violation of law for the council members to attend. Only a court, this is very important, only a court can make that determination. But I think it wise to err on the side of caution. The council members have to consider not only the application of the law, but also the spirit and intent of the law, and there's always the issue of public perception, she said. With all that in mind, I think that we're clear as far as whose legal advice we should take and which way we should go as far as the legal advice. And honestly, I don't believe we even need a policy on this so much as we have a good, competent counsel who can advise whenever these questions come up. But I have a very deep feeling, and I know it was actually interesting as I was listening to our HR director talk about some things earlier, that we need a consensus among all parties to move forward on issues. I think that's part of our HR goals here in the city. I think it should be part of our goals as far as the leadership of this city. And that includes our appointed officers as well. Our charter officers each have their own role, and these are to serve the council and to serve the city. I don't believe the role is to attempt to correct another charter officer publicly, as has happened here and I believe before. If this is our renaissance, as we have mentioned before, then we must move forward with renewed collaboration. That's a word that Mr. Clare mentioned earlier in his HR presentation, that we need the collaboration. I don't think we need public or internal antagonization between our charter officers. For this to occur, for this collaboration and what we need to move forward, I believe we need a new city clerk. So with that having been stated, I'd like to make a motion of no confidence of Alice Passmore serving as the clerk of Palm Bay.
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Santiago. Caught me off guard, okay. Discussion, council.
Yeah, please. She's been the clerk here a really long time, and not that we agree on every issue, but her service to this community, to us, she was only telling you an opinion so that we could discuss it and look further. I don't believe she was trying to degrade the city attorney, who I appreciate his views. I know he's our attorney, and there's sometimes you have to do a lot more research. Maybe we needed to talk to him a little bit more about it, but to say anything and degrade Alice, I'm shocked. I'm just completely shocked, but I shouldn't be, because it seems to be that's where we're going, which is getting rid of everybody and making changes, and I'm very, very upset at how you're treating Alice. And I just believe that she is doing her job. She is the keeper of our seals. She's the keeper of making sure we do things correctly. So her opinion matters to me as much as our attorney. And so I just have to say, I just don't agree with this, and I'm shocked. This came out of left field.
In my opinion, there's ways to handle things, and
Yeah, and this is not it.
there's ways to not handle things. I could understand your feelings. I think that I spend a lot of time around City Hall, and I get to interact more than most. And if my perception is that as council members and as mayor, if I feel that one of my chartered officers is not acting in the right way, I would rather go to them in person and speak with them and tell them what my feelings are and give them an opportunity to correct the action and then move forward. This approach wasn't something that I would condone. So I wouldn't be voting for this because I handle things differently. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean that I attacking any council member, because you're entitled to have your opinion. But I think that there's a professional way of doing things and an unprofessional way of doing this. And I think that council should have done their due diligence to speak. And I think that respective parties should have engaged. Leadership, you either harness it, embrace it, or you run away from it. And I'm going to state that again. When you're given a leadership position, you embrace it. Because this is coming full circle. And I'm not very happy right now. And like I said, on this dais, this is like family to me. So whatever action council takes, I'll respect it, because council has to make a decision. But I'm giving you my opinion as mayor.
I can understand why this is very emotional, and it is very emotional. Ms. Passmore has served our city for many years, and what is in question here is not the years of service that she had put in our city. It is not, and I did not hear anything degrading from Councilman Bailey. What is in question here is, unfortunately, the constant, if I may use the term, stepping on of toes from one charter officer to another. As Councilman Bailey has stated correctly, Mr. Lannon is the city attorney. He has the law degree That is his position, and he was selected by council to do just that. Today, we selected a city manager to handle his office, and I don't expect the city manager to neither opine publicly, whether by email or by phone, or publicly, or by email or otherwise, but to do so privately. If there was an issue between two of these officers, two charter officers, I think it should have been handled privately. And you're absolutely right, Mayor. I think that was something that should have been handled privately, but it was not. And instead, it was done publicly. It was done by email, and that's unfortunate. I think what should have been done was not done. And unfortunately, it was not done one time, but it was done more than one time. It was done 3 times, several times. I think Councilman Bailey said it right. There has to be a collaboration between the charter officers, not this constant butting of heads. And this has gone on for too long, and I think this is something that needs to stop. I have spoken with Ms. Passmore at one time. I've gave her my opinion about what she should do. I even asked her, if anything comes up, I think you should sit down with Mr. Lannon, talk to him privately, and work it out that way. But it wasn't done. And that was on another matter. I think that was on one of the 3 matters here that came up previously. If we're going to move forward as a city, we have to be united. And I respect every charter officer to do their job within their office, but not to step over each other, especially publicly, because that makes us look bad. We have new leadership, and we're moving forward, and this is not the way we move forward. That's why I would vote for it.
Okay. Councilman Holton.
I think everything's been said.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may.
Mhm.
I just wanted to go back and ask the council to look back at page 8 of Mr. Lannon's memorandum. Underneath the heading C, LRAB item, which is our local road board, our advisory board. If you look at the very first sentence, I think this is telling what I understand, because this is not new. It's not new to any of us up here. I'm sure of that. He says, I am absolutely offended by 2 statements on page 1 of Ms. Passmore's memorandum attached to her email in this item. And what I do know is that it's his job to bring us legal opinions. It's his job to research that. The clerk's job is not to go seek outside attorney advisement as they see fit, as he or she sees fit, and bring it back to us. That is the attorney's job. I have no problem with our staff working as a team, but we must respect one another. This is not, I do not think that we can move together as united as a team moving forward under this situation. And again, I reiterate, he says, I am absolutely offended. That's his words, not mine. And most of these words that are in here are indicative of how deeply rooted this problem is. So I think right now, while we are making great strides for this city and moving forward, this is one of those pieces that we need to change. And I think that I think we have great leadership waiting in that office that can help us with that.
Okay. All right.
And one other point just to make real quick, and I know Councilman Holton has kind of said most everything's been said, but and probably the public probably understands this, but I don't expect somebody from Public Works to advise the council on police safety.
Yep, I could understand.
And I don't expect if they were doing that for a long period of time that our HR staff or their supervisors wouldn't have handled it. Unfortunately, it's gotten to this point, and that's why I feel it needs to be done.
Okay, so then I'm going to draw the question then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, 3-2.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this requires the reading of a resolution. The resolution is Resolution Number 2015-22, a resolution of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, removing Alice Passmore as city clerk by terminating her employment with the City of Palm Bay without cause, providing for an effective date. The effective date would be now. In order to make that effective now, it requires a second vote. So there would be a motion, it would need a second, and then you would vote on this.
Okay. I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bailey. Any further discussion, council? If not, I'm going to draw the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay. Okay.
That's it.
We're moving towards administrative and legal reports. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of announcements. Excuse me. For those that travel Malabar Road east of Babcock Street, as well as Port Malabar Boulevard east of Claremont, just wanted to make the public aware that Florida East Coast Railroad is working on the crossing at Malabar Road beginning today and ending on April 17th. The detour I believe they have set up is Babcock Street to go north. Port Malabar Boulevard crossing work will begin on Sunday, April 19th and ending on Tuesday, April 21st. And the detour being utilized is Claremont. And then lastly, I just wanted to congratulate council on selecting a permanent city manager and congratulate Mr. Link. Appreciate the opportunity and level of confidence council has had in me to be the city manager during the last 4 or 5 months. Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Do we need to assign?
No, there's no requirement at this exact moment as
Okay.
far as for the rest of this meeting.
Okay.
As far as on an interim basis, then yes, that would necessarily need to be assigned until council moves
When-
forward.
Do we need to make that decision, the interim now?
You could do that right now if you were comfortable with that.
We would have to make a motion on Tarish to be the interim city clerk.
So move.
I need a second.
Is that interim or would that be acting?
Interim.
Okay.
Until we decide.
That's fine.
But we need somebody.
That's second.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Second by Councilman Bailey. I need a motion, council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous. So we have to notify Ms. Jones that she. Okay. Okay. We're moving towards public comments. Any public comments?
Mr. Spellman was the only one on public comments.
Okay. On that point, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.